Imagine paying $15,000 for something that, on the surface, looks like it could be built for under 4,000. Sounds like a scam, right? But here's the twist. The people paying that $15,000 aren't getting ripped off. In fact, many of them walk away calling it the best business decision they ever made. So what's really going on here? Why are AI automation agencies able to charge 3, 4, sometimes even 5 times more than what seems like the real cost of the work? Today, we're pulling back the curtain on one of the most misunderstood pricing models in the AI industry. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why this gap exists and why it's probably not going away anytime soon. Before we go further, if you're someone who's curious about how AI is quietly reshaping entire industries, hit that subscribe button and tap the like. Because this channel, AI Unlocked Official, is where we break down exactly these kinds of hidden mechanics, the stuff nobody else is explaining in plain English. Okay, let's get into it. So picture this. A small business owner sees an ad for an AI chatbot or automation tool. They go online, find a course, maybe even use a free template, and they build something themselves in a weekend. Total cost? Maybe a few $100s in software subscriptions. Then they hear that agencies are charging companies $10,000 or $15,000 to build something that looks, on the surface, almost identical. Their first reaction is usually frustration, sometimes even anger. It feels like a ripoff. But that reaction comes from a fundamental misunderstanding of what's actually being sold. Here's the first thing most people miss. When a business pays an agency that kind of money, they are not paying for the lines of code, or the workflow diagram, or even the AI model itself. They're paying for something far more valuable and far harder to replicate. They're paying for certainty. They're paying for someone to take a vague, messy, real-world problem and turn it into a system that actually works, reliably, every single day, without breaking. Think about it this way. If you've ever tried to build something yourself using a tutorial, you know the tutorial always assumes a perfect scenario. Clean data, simple inputs, no edge cases. But real businesses are messy. Customers type things in weird ways. Systems don't talk to each other properly. Data is incomplete or duplicated. And one tiny mistake in an automation can mean a customer gets ignored, an order gets lost, or worse, a company looks incompetent in front of its own clients. Agencies aren't selling automation, they're selling the elimination of that risk. But that's just the surface. There's a deeper reason for this price difference, and it has to do with something most people never think about: the cost of failure. When a business owner builds their own automation and it breaks, what happens? Maybe they lose a few hours fixing it. Annoying, but manageable. Now imagine a company with 50 employees, or 500. If their customer support automation breaks for even one day, that could mean thousands of unanswered messages, frustrated customers, refund requests, and a damaged reputation that takes months to repair. The stakes are completely different. And when the stakes are higher, the price for getting it right goes up dramatically. This is the same reason a hospital pays more for a generator than a homeowner does. It's not about the generator. It's about what happens if it fails. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. A lot of people assume that AI automation agencies are mainly selling AI. But in reality, AI is often the smallest part of what they deliver. The real value lies in something called systems thinking. This means understanding how a business actually operates, where the bottlenecks are, where time is being wasted, where mistakes happen, and then designing a system that fixes all of that at once. AI might be one tool in that system, but the real magic is in how everything connects together. It's like comparing someone who can use a hammer to someone who can design and build an entire house. Both involve tools, but only one involves expertise that took years to develop. And speaking of expertise, let's talk about something most outsiders never consider: maintenance and adaptability. When someone builds an automation for themselves, if it stops working, it's their problem. And usually they just shrug and move on. But agencies build systems knowing that businesses change constantly. New products get added, pricing changes, customer journeys evolve. AP is get updated or deprecated without warning. A system that worked perfectly last month might suddenly break today because some third-party service changed something on their end. Agencies build with this reality in mind. They create systems that can adapt, that have fallback options, that include monitoring so issues get caught before the client even notices. That kind of foresight isn't something you can copy from a YouTube tutorial. It comes from having broken things hundreds of times before and learning from every single failure. Here's something else that might surprise you. A huge portion of what clients are paying for isn't even visible in the final product. It's the discovery process. Before any automation is built, a good agency spends hours, sometimes days, mapping out exactly how a business works. What tools do they use? What does their ideal customer journey look like? Where are people getting stuck? What does success actually look like for them? This process alone can save a business from making a costly mistake, like automating the wrong part of their business entirely. Many companies don't even know what their real problem is until someone asks the right questions. That insight alone can be worth more than the automation itself. Now let's talk about something a little more uncomfortable: trust and accountability. When a business hires an agency, they're not just buying a product, they're buying a relationship. If something goes wrong, there's a real person or team who is responsible for fixing it. There's a contract, a guarantee, a reputation on the line. Compare that to a DIY solution where, if something breaks at 2 a.m. and it's costing the business money, there's no one to call, no support, no accountability, just stress. That peace of mind has real monetary value, even if it's hard to put a price tag on. But maybe the biggest factor of all is this: speed. Time is money, especially for businesses. If a company tries to build something themselves, it might take weeks or months of trial and error, learning, testing, and fixing mistakes. During that time, they're losing potential revenue, missing opportunities, and falling behind competitors who already automated. When an agency builds the same system in days instead of months, that time saved often translates into thousands of dollars in opportunity cost. So in a strange way, paying more upfront can actually save a business far more money in the long run. It's not an expense, it's an investment with a return that compounds over time. Now here's something that might completely change how you see this entire topic. The price difference isn't really about AI automation at all. It's about expertise being repackaged into a usable form. Throughout history, every major shift in technology has created the same pattern. When personal computers became common, some people learned to use them for free, while others paid consultants to set up entire office systems. When websites became essential for business, some people built their own using free templates, while others paid agencies to create something that actually converted visitors into customers. AI automation is simply the latest chapter in this same story. The tools are becoming more accessible, but the skill required to use them effectively in a real business context is still rare. And rarity, combined with high stakes, is exactly what drives premium pricing. So if you're someone considering getting into this space, either as a service provider or as a business owner thinking about hiring one, here's the takeaway. The real value isn't in knowing how to use AI tools. Plenty of people know that already. The real value is in understanding business problems deeply enough to design solutions that actually solve them, reliably, at scale, with room for things to change in the future. That's the skill that commands premium pricing, and it's a skill that's only going to become more valuable as more businesses realize they need it. So here's a question for you. If you were running a business right now, would you rather spend less money and take on the risk of things breaking, or would you rather pay more for certainty and peace of mind? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I genuinely love to hear different perspectives on this. And if this video gave you a new way of looking at how AI businesses operate, share it with someone who might be curious too. Because understanding the why behind pricing isn't just useful if you're in tech. It's useful for understanding how value works in almost every industry, and that's a lesson that goes far beyond AI. The next time you see a price that seems too high, ask yourself what you're really paying for, because more often than not, it's not the product. It's everything that makes the product actually work.